Beloved, indeed, in just a few short hours, this unbelievable 2020 will be over. Yes, there is surely grief and pain and heartache to follow us into 2021. The worst days of this global pandemic are still threatening. Our government is in complete disarray. And for so much of law enforcement, for so many of our legislators, and for far too many people, Black lives still do not matter. Queer and trans lives do not matter. Women's lives do not matter. But yet and still, 2020 is almost done. This sermon has had several working titles, but the one that is the most irreverent and possibly the most succinct is Holy We Made It. When Paul wrote his letters to the Philippians, he was languishing in a Roman prison, not knowing whether he would live or be executed. The people of Philippi, which is in modern day Greece, were under Roman occupation, and the Christian community was devoted but small. Philippi was actually a Roman stronghold, and there was a great deal of Roman nationalism in the population. So Paul in prison, the Philippians alternately ignored or persecuted, and Paul writes, "Rejoice in the Lord always." And again, I say rejoice. Do not worry about anything. I can do all things in him who strengthens me. The audacity. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in his letter from jail in Birmingham, Alabama, wrote, "Will we be extremists for hate, or will we be extremists for love? Will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice, or will we be extremists for the cause of justice?" Another sermon title for this last day of this most difficult year could be Hard Times Require Furious Dancing, which is the title of a book of poems by Alice Walker. So I recently went down this YouTube rabbit hole, and I found a young man named Dimitri Reeves. Dimitri Reeves is a 28-year-old African-American man living in St. Mary's County, which is somewhere in southern Maryland. And Dimitri Reeves is an entertainer. In full costume, usually with a lot of sequins and a full face of makeup, and this elaborate sound system that's really kind of just a fancy boombox, Mr. Reeves sets up on random street corners, looking like a combination of Prince and Michael Jackson and James Brown. And he just dances. But not before introducing himself, and always saying, "I say what I say and I do what I do." So there's joy, but there's also this holy defiance in his performance, because hard times require furious dancing. Alice Walker writes, "The world has changed. It did not change without your prayers, without your faith, without your determination to believe in liberation and kindness, without your dancing through the years that had no beat." The last worship service in our beloved Middle Church Sanctuary was March 15th, and it was this socially distanced live stream with about 6 of us. And it ended with me and Jackie and Amanda and Madge and Gloria and Dion and John dancing, gloriously silly and joyful and free. And I'm acutely aware of the very last thing that happened in our sanctuary, the day before it burned down. And it was the exquisite dance of Adrian Hurd to Breath of Heaven. A dance that Adrian actually finished a few days later in front of the burnt ruins. Hard times require furious dancing. Beloved, 2020 has left us vacant with an emptiness and a heartache that only God can fill. God did not cause COVID-19 to teach us a lesson. That's just bad theology. God was in every emergency room, every nursing home, every morgue, every funeral that could not be attended. God's face is in every essential worker, every Trader Joe's cashier, every mass transit worker, every bodega owner, every waiter, every teacher. And also in you, Middle Church. You organized, you donated, you canvassed, you fed the hungry. And when your beloved sanctuary, our beloved sanctuary, was still in flames, you reached out to see how you could help others. God's love, your love. Galatians 3:27 says, you have put on Christ. And indeed you have, Middle, again and again and again. So I'm with Paul. I can do all things in him who strengthens me. You know, I've said many times that my New Year's resolution every year is to be blacker and gayer than the year before. But how about this? What if my blackness is already enough? What if my queerness is already enough? What if you, just the way you are right now, with all the election and post-election stress, the COVID weight, the loss of your sanctuary, the unimaginable loss of life, what if you're enough right here, right now? I mean, it's in the Bible. I know what it is to have little, and I know what it is to have plenty. In any and all circumstances, I have learned the secret of being well-fed and of going hungry, of having plenty and of being in need. I can do all things in him who strengthens me. Now, it is New Year's Eve, and I have been talking about dancing a lot. So we sort of have to dance ourselves out a little bit. So dance with me. I mean, I feel incredibly silly and a little self-conscious. So if I can do it, you can do it. Because hard times require furious dancing.